Hello everyone. Right now I'm going to take you through the basics of the scientific method. Basically how we do science to work things out. Okay, so let's have a look. Guys, these are the 7 steps that I've developed. I suppose they're not my steps. Scientists have been using these for hundreds of years, but this is the way I've put them together. Okay, so there are 7 steps here. On the left hand side we have our problem or question that we come up with at first. Then we form a hypothesis. The third step is to plan an experiment that's going to test our hypothesis. We're then going to make a prediction about what we think will happen in the experiment. We're then going to conduct our experiment, obviously. We're going to look at what happens. We're going to record the observations and results. After that, we're going to decide what's happened. Is our hypothesis correct? That's what we call coming up with conclusions. And finally, once we've come up with those conclusions, we're going to apply those in the application section. Okay, let's have a look at how it all works. So I made a little scaffold here. Okay, and here it is, the scientific investigation scaffold. On the left-hand side, you'll see all of those 7 steps. And on the right-hand side, we're going to fill in some details as we go. Okay, so all science starts with a problem or a question that we want to try and find out the answer to. Okay, so for this investigation, we're going to look at scarves. And we're going to ask a question about scarves. So when I put my scarf on here, I notice that after a few minutes, my neck gets nice and toasty warm. And so the question that we're going to come up with is this. Okay, here it is. What makes your neck warm when you put on a scarf? That's the question we're going to ask. Now, look at the next box. We have to hypothesize. That means we explain scientifically what we think is going on here. And in the box on the right-hand side, it says this: your hypothesis must explain how or why you think it happens. Okay, so how or why do I think this scarf is keeping my neck warm? That's the question. And, well, here's my hypothesis. There are microscopic heaters inside the scarf that are activated when it is wrapped around something. Okay, now that's my considered scientific hypothesis. That's what I think is going on with this scarf. Okay, so now the thing is I need to plan an experiment that's going to help me test that hypothesis. So have a think about it. How would you test this? How would you test whether there are little tiny heaters inside this scarf right now that are keeping my neck nice and toasty warm? Well, here's what I've come up with. Right, well, I've had to have a good think about this. Here's the experiment that I've come up with. I'm going to take my scarf. My neck's nice and warm now. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to grab a thermometer. That's the second item that I need. And the thing, those are the materials. You can see the variable there is the thing that I'm going to change. Okay, now we only want to change one thing. We want to keep everything else the same. So we're going to change whether the scarf is wrapped or unwrapped. We're not going to change the position of the thermometer or anything like that, or we're not going to use different thermometers. We use the same thermometer, and the variable is the only thing we're going to change is the scarf and whether it's wrapped or unwrapped. And now look at the procedure, 3 steps. Okay, first of all, we're going to record the initial temperature of this thermometer, find out what it is. Then we're going to place it on the scarf, step 2, and we're going to record the temperature after 2 minutes and see if it's changed. And then step 3, we're going to wrap the scarf around the thermometer. We're going to see if the temperature has changed after 2 minutes, because under my hypothesis, it should have heated up, shouldn't it? Well, actually, we'll get to that. That's the prediction in the next section, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so yeah, let's do that now. Let's predict. So if we go, give me a moment. Okay, so the prediction. Okay, this is the next step. So this is where we say what we expect to happen in the experiment, and obviously I'm expecting that when we get to step 3, when we wrap that scarf around the thermometer, it's going to warm up after a couple of minutes. Okay, so I'll just pop that in there now. Okay, so there it is. Temperature will rise after 2 minutes of being wrapped in the scarf. Okay, so what we have to do now is look at the next step there, conduct the experiment. Okay, so let's just head back up here where we've written it down. It's always good to have things written down as a scientist so that you know what you're doing and you can go back and refer to your notes. Okay, so we've got our scarf materials and we've got our thermometer, the two important things we need. Okay, now let's look down at the procedure. Number one, we're going to record the initial temperature of the thermometer, and right now the thermometer's saying it's about 23 degrees. Okay, so we'll record that down. I might just actually pop that down here. All right, step one, 23 degrees, there we go. Okay, now step two, place the thermometer on the scarf, record the temperature after 2 minutes. So let's do that. So look, here's my thermometer. I'm just going to put my scarf down here. I'm going to put the thermometer down on top of that. Okay, it doesn't matter, you can't see it, but now tick, tick, tick. Let's imagine we've waited for 2 minutes and we go and check our thermometer again, and lo and behold, it's still the same temperature. It's 23 degrees. So we'll write that down now. Okay. So far things are going as we expected. Now, here we go. Step three. We're going to wrap the scarf around the thermometer. This is where it gets interesting, guys. All right. I'm going to see if there's these tiny little heaters in here as we wrap it around. Okay. Here we go. Wrap, 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 wrap. All right. Nice and warm. Wrap, 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 wrap. Okay, thermometer's in there, pop that down there. All right, now you could try this one at home, guys, but look, we're not going to bother waiting for 2 minutes because you'll be pretty bored watching the video for that length of time. So let's just imagine that 2 minutes are up, and I go to check my thermometer now. And look, even after 30 seconds, there may well be a rise in temperature if my hypothesis is correct. But here's some interesting news, guys. No change in temperature. So let's record that down. So that's step three, 23 degrees. Okay, nothing has changed. That's not what we predicted from our hypothesis. Okay, but that's not a bad thing because we've learnt something new. Okay, so in our record of observations or results, that's probably something that we just want to make really clear in this section. So let's do that. Okay, so I've just quickly added some important information here in the results section. The temperature did not change after the scarf was wrapped around the thermometer. The hypothesis has been disproven. So there must be something else going on here, guys. All right. No little heaters that get activated when we wrap the scarf around, okay, or something else. Maybe there are heaters in there. Maybe it's something else that's activating them that I haven't thought of yet, okay? Or maybe I'm completely on the wrong track. What do you think? Okay, well, I'm not going to tell you what the real answer is. I think I know what the real answer is, actually. I'm just playing a bit of a game with you here. But you see if you can work out why that scarf is heating things up. Actually, you know what, guys? I popped this in the wrong spot. What I need to do is go bang, cut that. That stuff should be down here in the conclusions section, because the conclusions is where we talk about our hypothesis, whether it's proven or disproven, and is there another explanation for what we've observed? Okay. So yeah, in the results section, guys, all we're recording is what we see. The conclusions comes next. That's what we think about what we've seen. Okay. So I hope that didn't confuse you. All right. Now, last section, applications. How will we apply this new knowledge? Okay. So for one thing, we might not go looking for little tiny heaters in our scarf with a microscope or a magnifying glass. We might actually come up with a new experiment or come up with a new hypothesis and try to test that. That might be the way that we apply our thinking to this problem. Okay, so science is one of those things that one experiment's not necessarily going to tell you the answer that you're looking for. Sometimes you need to do a few more just to make sure. And hypotheses are often wrong, and sometimes you need lots of experiments to try to come up with the right answer. But that, guys, is the challenge and also the fun of science. And you're going to go on now and use this scaffold in your own scientific investigations this term. And I hope you really enjoy that and that you learn heaps along the way. Good on you. Go well.